The Urartu kingdom was one of the most important powers during the first half of first millennium BC. Even in the first half of 8th century BC, Urartu state became an empire and even had an hegemony against Assyria, most powerful player in the ancient Near East in that time. During late Bronze and early Iron Ages, so since 16th, 15th centuries BC till even the formation of the Urartu kingdom till the middle of 9th century, almost the entire territory of Armenian Highland was in one cultural social zones. So I don't say about the ethnicity. So we speak about the cultural, social developments. So with Cyclopean masonry, Cyclopean fortresses, black ware pottery, militarized society, complex society, chiefdoms, etc., etc. In scientific literature, this culture is called as Lejashen Mezamorian or Etiunian culture. You know about Lejashen and Mezamor, which are key archaeological sites of modern Armenia, but also it is important to emphasize about the Etiuni Confederation, which was a tribal confederation mentioned in the Urartian inscriptions, and it was one of the most powerful rival of Urartu. We can just, in this case, single out two social or cultural zones in the territory of Armenian Highland. One was formed between the lakes Urmia and Van, and a little bit south, and one was formed in the territory of modern Armenia. In brackets, we can call those zones as Biainili zone and Etiuni zone. This is very important to take into account. For example, in early Iron Age, both the territory of Van Lake, so above mentioned territory of modern Armenia, were in the same cultural and social zones. For example, the same burial customs, the same tombs, the same traditions, the same masonry, architecture, everyday life are attested both in the territory of modern Armenia, but also, for example, in the territory between of Lake Van and Urumia. So this is very important. But after, something changed. And in this case, it is very important to mention about the Nairi lands. So we have mentioned about Nairi lands in Assyrian and Urartian inscriptions. And Nairi in some case has some territory, geographical meaning, but also in one period also some kind of social or cultural meaning as well. So this Nairi covers the territory of modern Eastern Turkey, so historical Western Armenia, especially the territory located west and south to the Lake of Van. Those lands, Nairi lands, and the kings of Nairi lands, because in Assyrian kingdom we have testimony about, for example, more than 40 kings of King Nairi, 60 kings of King Nairi, about the campaigns, military campaigns of the Assyrian monarchs, etc., etc. And they were in contact, they were in touch. This is extremely important feature. So we have, in my personal opinion, two zones mainly connected with ideologies. Etiuni zone, which continue to keep so-called simple but very deep ideology with Cyclopean masonry, with So typical burial customs, tombs, blackware pottery, so religious, some religious aspects, etc. But in so-called Biainili zone, which in all likelihood was part of Nairi geographical area, so we have some kind of also mix of those features, also some kind of Assyrian features, elements of Assyrian iconography, architecture, and here one of the most important feature, of course, is writing, which was absent in Etiuni in all likelihood, and that was cuneiform. Cuneiform played an important role in this process. When the Urartian kingdom was formed, they borrowed the Assyrian script. So in the beginning, they used also both Assyrian script and language, but after using and based on Assyrian script, they created their own script. And based on language, which in scientific literature we called in brackets as Urartian language. In my personal opinion, this Biaina or Biainili lands, why we call Biaina, because so in Urartian inscription, the monarchs of Urartu call their land as Biainili or Biaina. So Urartu is the name given by the Assyrians. And for example, in the Bible, this land is attested as a land or kingdom of Ararat. And writing, in my personal opinion, played an important role, and also some elements of Assyrian royal ideology. So they harmonized this to their ideology. So they created a special deity who was symbolizing the power of the state, who was associated with the monarch, with the Urartian monarch, the god Haldi, as the protector, guarantor of the Urartian state's benevolence, of the Urartian state power. And after, the state became more and more militarized. You know that organized minority is stronger than non-organized majority. So this is a rule. And there was a, struggle of these two ideologies, Etiuni, which we called, and Biaina or Biainili. And during centuries, we have this kind of struggle and contact. Contact is very important also for transformation. So imagine the northern campaigns of the Urartian monarchs, against the northern lands. So they captured some lands, and also they say the kings of Etiuni came to help, came to support them. So there were some kind of different alliances, Etiuni and Biainili. So the Urartian kingdom was formed in the territory of Armenian Highland, and here in the territory of modern Armenia we have hundreds of cyclopean fortresses surrounded and also located on the slopes of Mount Aragat, in Sevan Basin, in Lori region, in Tavush region, and in other languages. So it's a really complex militarized societies, well-organized societies. And for the Urartian kingdom, it was not so easy to involve those lands in their empire. Of course, we were able to involve Ararat Plain, also some other territory of Armenia, for example, the southern part of Sevan Basin, modern Shirak. But for example, we cannot tell the same for Rolori region, for Tavush region, for the southern part of Syunik region, part of Aragazotan region, and we can infer that those parts were under the control of Etiuni. And also we know the name of, for example, territory of southern shore of Lake Sevan, Veduri Etiuni. It derives from Indo-European word of water. So imagine we have Etiuni and Veduri Etiuni. And for transformation, this is really important because we have, how to say, contact, both contact and struggle of two ideologies, of two ideologies of the same culture, and one of them, how to say, so turned contrary to this. And when we have a look, of course the archaeological data help us a lot. Also, for example, the written sources are extremely important. So we have this contact, and in one period, especially when Urartu became not so stronger as in the first half of 8th century, as I have already mentioned. So we have some kind of mix and harmonization of Piainili and Etiuni cultures. So also these are very good visible in architecture, in pottery tradition, and this process developed especially also at the end of 8th century, in the 7th century, and even it's continued after the collapse of the Urartian Empire. So we can say that, in my personal opinion, that the Urartian military expansion became the victim of Etiuni social and cultural annexion. This is really important for the archaeology, and I think this is one of the main tasks for the archaeology of modern Armenia related to Iron Age period. So in this case, cuneiform is an extremely important feature, because cuneiform, Urartian cuneiform, also served as an important part of symbolic power and also as a border of Urartu. Imagine illiterate, for example, Etiunians or the natives of, for example, Shirak region. So they look to this cuneiform, which is ununderstandable, but they feel the royal power. So this is something which divide so these two words. But after, under some circumstances, which of course it is really hard to have a complete idea about how the Urartian Empire was collapsed. We have different opinions. For example, the theory of disasters, because in this period we have testimony and even fixed earthquakes in different archaeological sites. It is extremely important. Climate crisis pointed out by our colleague Yervan Grigoryan, because in that period there was really very hard problems related with climate. Of course, it was also problems connected with enemies such as Scythians, Cimmerians, Assyrians, after Medes, etc., and also Etiunians. Even in Assyrian sources, in all likelihood, we have testimony about the campaigns of Etiunians against Urartu. Also, there was a, how to say, not well organizing of human resources. For example, imagine one of the last powerful kings of Urartu, Rusa II, so-called Rusa, the son of Argishti. So he built different important cities, and for this reason, so he used huge quantity of resources and also manpower. So according to Paul Zimanski, so this also played an important role for the collapse of the Urartian Empire. So if we look all this in a one picture, maybe we can have a more or less complete idea about the collapse of the Urartian state. And what is interesting, after the collapse of Urartu, of this state, we have no cuneiforms, so no systematic cuneiform using in Armenian Highland. We have no cult of god Khaldi. So, but we have some transformation of these features. For example, we have transformation in architecture when the so-called Etiunian and Urartian elements mixed with each other. So in pottery tradition, for example, where we have both Urartian shape, but in Etiunian tradition. So it is some kind of harmony between Etiuni and Biainili ideologies. We know, for example, in religious aspects, so for example, the door of the Meher, which is well known from other national epic, by the way, which was created by the Urartian kings Ishpuini and Menua, and called as Gate of God Khaldi. And after this Gate of God Khaldi was transferred to the gate or door of Meher, door of Mithra. So as Khaldi was rock burning, so burning and disappearing god, also the same function has also Armenian god Mithra. So in epic attested as Meher. For example, about the temples. One of the most important features for the Urartian religion and architecture is Urartian tower-shaped temple called Susi. And what is interesting is that during Yerbandashat excavations, which was one of the ancient capitals of Armenia, during the excavations was discovered very similar structure, a little bit smaller but very similar to Susi. And also in the same area also was discovered a storage room with pithoi, with Armenian karassis, with extremely same decoration and shape as we have for Urartian storages and pithoi. So it says about the continuity. So, and in this case, in all likelihood, even this kind of continuity was peaceful in all probability. But of course we need more excavations, we need more exploration. What we can tell, based especially on, for example, Greek sources, especially based on Xenophon, which lived at the end of 5th century and in 4th century BC, on Armenian historians, also on archaeological data, so that there was a core in Armenian Highland, and that was the Armenian kingdom. Of course, we cannot insist that the whole territory of Armenian Highland was mono-ethnic. No. Also, let's say xenophone. But the core were the Armenians. And this Armenian kingdom, it keep a lot of features of Urartu. For example, today in Erebuni fortress, and you saw a lot of cuneiform inscriptions which are in the same place as we discovered, yes? But in Erebuni we have so-called post-Urartian period, so related to this Armenian kingdom. This is end of 7th century, first half of 6th century. What is interesting, no one damaged these inscriptions. So if it was so unfamiliar to them, of course they can remove those inscriptions. But for example, in Erebuni, you see, yes? So they are in the same place. No one damaged them. Just there was some kind of change of ideologies. So this Etiunian culture won this biennially ideology. One ideology mixed with some kind of Assyrian, Neo-Hittite, North Syrian element. So this ideology, Etiunian ideology, so it denied that kind of world. Denied, but they were so smart that they integrated very important features to their world. And this was also one of the important reasons that, for example, due to archaeological data, after Urartu, we have some kind of, I can say, archaeological renaissance. So in brackets. So we have this transformation, and in this case it is very important to excavate not only in fortresses but also in outer towns. For example, I can tell about my excavations where I had an honor to be the head or co-head of the co-director of excavations. So in Garmir Blur, in Erebuni, or an excavation of Otzabert located in the southern shore of Lake Sevan. How to say, this contact, this synchronization between Etiunian and Urartian words and ideologies are very clearly visible. And also I think they were not so unfamiliar to each other, but it was a struggle of two ideologies. We can, for example, bring many examples, yes, in different countries that we have a struggle of two ideologies. They struggle, fight with each other, so even they have some kind of crucial results, but they are the representatives of the same culture, of the same social thinking. So in my personal opinion, as an archaeologist, as a person who dedicated 18 years of his life for the investigations, research of Urartu, Etiunian simple word, Etiunian simple ideology, simple but very deep ideology, so was able to involve Urartian ideology, and it became much stronger. This ideology, as an Armenian, I also feel, for example, when I'm looking to Armenian churches. They are very simple, but very deep, very, very mysterious, very religious, and you need to understand this. You need to feel this energy, this ideology. So the continuation of Cyclopean fortresses we see also in medieval times. So we have pottery, different types of pottery we see also in medieval times. I am telling you just my opinion, based what I feel and what I understood. So researching of Urartu, this is absolutely another word, and also transformation. So have a look to cuneiform sources again. For example, in Babylonian sources, Armenia was called Urartu. That is Babylonian version of Armenia. Even in one of the damaged inscriptions, due to some scholars, for example, very famous British archaeologist David Stronach, he spoke about the independent Armenian kingdom, and there was in all likelihood mention about the campaign of Cyrus the Great against Urartu, so against Armenia. So Urartu and Urartu are the same. But after, for example, let's speak about the important Bisitun inscription of Darius the First. So where we have mentioned again about the Armenia, and in Old Persian it is mentioned as Armenia, in Elamite as Harminuya, and in Babylonian Urartu. Let's have a look to the world's oldest map, so-called Babylonian map. So we have again different countries, and also Urartu, Armenia. So this also can testify about the transformation and continuity. This is extremely important, and also the archaeological material, what is very important, also supporting to these ideas. Of course, it is my opinion, and some of my colleagues can disagree with this opinion. This is science related to Urartu, Urartology, which is developing, and I think we are waiting for new discoveries, because it's so mysterious and so magic to be a scholar who investigate this culture, this kingdom. I do not know any nations who can be the successor of the Urartian Empire besides Armenians. It is clear that after the downfall of Urartu was formed Armenian kingdom. Even if there were different other tribes, none of those tribes exist in modern days. So this is extremely important. And this continuity, this succession is attested, as I told you, in written sources, in archaeological sources. This is extremely important for us, but this is also very big responsibility to be the successor of great Urartian Empire. This is really big and great responsibility. We need to care about the Urartian culture. We need to protect Urartu and Urartian culture as we will protect us, because it is the same. And we need to feel Urartu, Ararat, Etiuni, and we need to imagine, construct some of our worldview also based on the harmony of Etiuni and Urartu.